Going on YouTube? Coming back today. My name is Andrew Miller, editor over at hook'emheadlines.com. With me is Shane Black, contributor at Hook'em Headlines. We are recapping an unfortunate, kind of frustrating overtime loss for Texas, blowing a second half lead, just kind of flatlining in overtime offensively. They end up losing 85-78 to Illinois in the Jimmy V Classic, their first loss of the season, and first game away from the state of Texas. So I will say, yeah, it's a really frustrating loss. Before we get into any rabbit holes that we get down into, I just want to straight up say, I'm guessing there's going to be some frustrated Texas fans watching this, that this wasn't a must-win game. This is really annoying to see this happen. There are some concerns that could come up, but ultimately, hopefully, this is a game that Texas learns and grows from, and that this is the sort of game that can help come March and April. But I'll pass it over to you for opening thoughts.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate way to lose the game. Up 5 with under 40 seconds left. You had an 8-point lead at the under 8 timeout. But yeah, like you said, if we're going to take there are some positives to take out of this. And one of those is growth towards March. We saw in the Creighton game that Texas had a pretty sizable lead. Creighton cut it at the end. Luckily, they were able to pull that out. Today, Texas wasn't able to close out their lead. So hopefully that's kind of like a slap in the face. It's, almost a good thing, because if they kept skating by and not really clamping down and putting these teams away, then a loss like this should definitely be a wake-up call, because I thought there was a good amount of the second half, maybe from the 10-minute to the 6-minute mark, where Texas had an 8 They had a couple possessions here or there. If they would have hit a couple threes, gotten a couple stops, where that lead balloons to 15 points with 5 minutes left, and that's pretty much insurmountable. But they almost seemed kind of unfocused and turned to one-on-one offense when they were up big, which is not something you want to do. So hopefully, Beard shows them the tape, says, hey, let's just play our game. Doesn't matter what the score is. If we're up 10, down 10, tied. Because if they play their game, they're one of the better teams in the country. But, we weren't expecting an undefeated season. I remember, if we were going back to our recap, when we were grading the non-conference, Gonzaga, Creighton, Illinois were the 3 big ones. I think we all would have been happy with a 2-1 finish there. So it just is unfortunate how this loss happened.
It is, and yeah, I guess when you come, this stings a little bit right now. Told you off recording that I really hate Brad Underwood. Sorry to any Illinois fans watching this. I'm an Oklahoma State grad, so just for some context. But he's also just, he gave a lot of people in Oklahoma Kevin Durant vibes. So anyway, it is frustrating the way that Texas loses this game. I also don't like Baylor, and that team is filled with Baylor. So
yeah.
I said something before the game. My bad. I had a very busy day just in general today, and I kind of forgot who Dane Danger was, and so mispronounced last name. So just in general, not super fun covering this game for me, but it is frustrating. There are positives to take away, which is what I'm going to mostly try to focus on, or at least keep the criticism constructive. I'll put my takeaways in the description below if you want to see mostly constructive criticism. So before I end up forgetting that I kind of caught on to this, something that I've noticed in the last 2 games. So all props to Texas for guarding so many good wings they have this season the way they have. Baylor Shireman, he got hot late, but he was pretty ineffective against Texas. Terrence Shannon got pretty hot late, had probably his worst night of the season offensively, if not worst, second worst. One thing I am noticing with these guys getting hot late and kind of making a difference, because Terrence Shannon just ended up pretty much getting all his points in overtime. Have you kind of seen that Texas is having issues following through ball screens late in games, allowing these guys to get open? Do you think that's opponent adjustments? Do you think it's our guys getting tired? Like Brock Cunningham was clearly giving him too much space late.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you note that. Maybe it can be attributed to a little bit of dead legs. I mean, when you get tired, that's when communication drops. So I think that's
Yeah.
certainly something to be aware of. But on the other side of it, I would think a Chris Beard team, when they really have to lock in, he would have them locked in. Like all we need is two more stops and this game is ours. So I have noticed that it is unfortunate. I mean, we saw tonight Matthew Meyer with a couple minutes left, Timmy Allen, Brock Cunningham, just a little bit of a miscommunication and wide open three, and he was knocking that down, whether there's a hand in his face or not. But yeah, that's a good point because for the most part, Texas has been very solid switching on the perimeter. We saw pretty much every ball screen tonight was switched, and a lot of good communication, a lot of good help defense being played. But yeah, you make a great point that down the stretch, that kind of wasn't happening, and that allowed Illinois to get back in the game in the overtime period, just giving Terrence Shannon too much space, which was almost, like you said, kind of a lack of communication. But that's something definitely to note and watch going forward because I tweeted this out in the first half, maybe it was early second half. This Texas team is not one you want to become stagnant in the half court against because they guard the hell out of you. They make every pass to the wing impossible. There's nothing easy against this Texas defense. And then that kind of all seemed to go away. Illinois, obviously, 17 points in overtime. A lot of that was from the line, but still, that's a good amount. And then in the last 5 minutes of the second half, I believe they had 15 points. So, comparatively, that's a lot from what they scored in the whole 45. So it is something to note. Tired legs could be an issue. We saw cramping from Hunter and Carr tonight. So that's certainly something to watch. But yeah, I don't have like a true concrete answer on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I can go on that. There's so many so I will say this coming out of this game, as you say at a macro level, it's encouraging that one of the deciding moments of this game was definitely Tyrese Hunter missing the front end of that 1-and-1. His first missed free throw since the opener. And I could do some digging on this. That might be his first missed free throw at the front end of a 1-and-1 since early in his freshman season. I did a little bit of digging and got back. It's at least his first miss. It's the first missed free throw on him. It's like Steph Curry, not Steph Curry. I don't know. You all get what I'm saying.
Automatic. And
it's just one of those things. It's a weird night. This was a really weird ending to this game. And, I mean, it has shades of games that can go on in the NCAA tournament. Weird game at MSG that are between two tough, gritty teams. So it's good to get this experience. So I will say that, my complete thoughts from this game, as long as Texas is able to stay healthy, as many flaws as I can find and have found in this team, the fact that Chris Beard is running a small ball lineup that can't space the floor and is doing what he's doing right now. I mean, the floor on this team is still very high. Now, I will say that, I pointed this out in my takeaways late in this game. Just one of the most obvious points of constructive criticism is, I don't know how much you can trust Marcus Carr as the primary initiator. He was last season, and that didn't get Texas very far in these sorts of games. And Tyrese Hunter was cramping up late. I think that limited him. I don't know. Moving forward, maybe do you try to get Terrio more involved? Lord knows Timmy Allen being the primary initiator is not the worst thing. Guy had 21 and 8 assists tonight. So I think there's options.
I think it's one of those things. I mean, we covered it in the offseason. When Hunter signed with Texas, you knew it was going to be, a little bit of a weird fit. Pretty much every TV broadcast, I think we've had 3 different duos for Texas's main against Gonzaga, Creighton, and Illinois. And almost the first thing they all talk about is, Hunter transferring in as one of the highest rated transfer recruits, and then the fit with Marcus Carr, who's in his 5th year of college basketball. And then, they talk about the relationship they built in the offseason and all of that. And so we knew coming into the season, neither of them was a pure point guard. And we're kind of starting to see that rear its ugly head because there are times when they don't seem as comfortable with the ball in their hands. I think Chris Beard can hopefully turn this into more of a strength where, like you said, Timmy Allen can become sort of an initiator. I even like when Jabari Rice is somewhat of an initiator. As long as they're not pounding the air out of the ball, just because you initiate the offense doesn't mean you have to dribble it 10 to 15 times. There are ways to do that, that without, like I said, pounding the air out of the basketball. So, yeah, I think Chris Beard's going to have to get a bit creative because when this offense goes stagnant, it does not look pretty. Luckily, we do have Texas, it has the talent to, get by against worse teams just on talent alone. But clearly, Chris Beard still lacks on the offensive end. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts. But you did mention Timmy Allen. It was great to see him with, his first, not harsh to say, but, his first really competent game of the season. He had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, which is great to see. Yeah, and unfortunately, we talked about this offline, but late in the ball game, Texas wasn't going to him for whatever reason. Whoever brought up the ball, whether it was Carr or Hunter, would dribble around and try and get in the lane and force a tough shot. And that's not what you want to do when the momentum is going against you and you need a bucket.
Yeah, I will say this. This is one thing that I've researched before. I'm well aware of what a Chris Beard style offense means. That there's going to be a lot of high usage forwards or wings. There is usually, for some reason, going to be a lack of outside shooting efficiency, and I don't know why, but there's just not really such thing as a true point guard in Chris Beard's on any of his teams. He at Texas Tech never had a guy average over average even 4 assists per game. I think the best that he had in terms of a true point guard was Keenan Evans.
Yeah.
Hell of a player, but I mean he was more of a combo guard if I'm remembering right. And
yeah,
so
100%.
I don't know. I like that. That's something that I think we're just gonna have to deal with. And so, but the fact of the matter is that like you don't necessarily need someone coming in and just doing like Chris Paul type things.
Yeah.
Like it's great for Gonzaga that they have a guy like Nembhard that can do what he does, and that'll be great for them come March. But like Illinois doesn't have a great point guard. I've never been super blown away by Sky Clark. And I mean, it was Matthew Mayer and then Terrence Shannon getting hot late that beat us. And so it wasn't. But God knows, please stop putting Marcus Carr in tough positions. The dude, like, his most clutch moments tend to be ridiculously lucky shots. The Virginia Tech. That half court heave, the shot, that fadeaway shot that he hit was great, but 90% of the time we've seen that when he tries to hit that double team contested fadeaway, more often than not it's going to be an air ball. And so, yeah, I don't know. We can dissect that.
I would say also I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't super impressed with Sky Clark. I wrote this in my preview that the Illini backcourt, besides Terrence Shannon, is filled with a rotation of 4 freshmen. So it'd be important to get after them, force turnovers, which Texas did very well. I think I heard Billis on the commentary midway through overtime said Illinois' last turnover was with 9 minutes to go in the second half. So, I mean, they just kind of buckled up. But Credit to Sincere Harris, just absolute lockdown defender. Didn't know anything about him coming into the game because he was 88th ranked recruit in the class of 2022. He's going to be a player that thrives for Illinois. And then, of course, Jaden Epps, who made those clutch free throws, hit that three in the corner, and he was the one that really sent it into overtime. He had a big drive in overtime, and that's another freshman making big plays. And Illinois just made the bigger plays when they had to be made. That Jaden Epps three that he knocked down with 35 seconds left to cut the lead from 5-2. If Jabari Rice was trying to find the man, which good on him. But if he got his head around a split second faster, that ball was stolen. That's ball game Texas. So there's just like any sport, game of inches. The ball didn't go our way this game, but like you said, there's a lot to learn from it, and we can take solace in the fact that Timmy Allen played his best game and hopefully is trending upwards for the rest of the season. It'll be interesting how he's incorporated into the offense, because certainly we have to stop ending possessions, like you said, with Carr and Hunter in these poor situations, because it hurts them, it hurts the team, and then they catch all this flack online. It's like I do get it for some part. Carr was kind of shooing people off, but at some point, when there's 5 seconds on the shot clock and they have the ball in their hands, what else do you want them to do?
To be fair, I actually thought some of the people replying were pretty fair to Carr. That like one guy replied on Twitter saying, I tweeted like, "God damn!" That like, what was that on that air ball? And I mean, that's what I was thinking right then. But like, yeah, the guy was like, "Yeah, we got to stop putting Marcus Carr in those sorts of spots," and that's true because there was like literally like basically no off-ball movement. At least when the play was there, and.
It seemed like Beard, because Beard called a timeout after Epps hit the first free throw. So I mean, they knew they weren't going to call a timeout again. And so what did he say in the huddle? If it's a miss, hold the ball. They're going to foul you. If it's a make, all right, Marcus, four flat, you take them. Like there's got to be better. You got to have a better plan than that.
Well, and worst comes to worst, you could just get a little pick and pop out there with Timmy Allen at the mid range, like. That where you say hand the ball to Timmy Allen, I mean, he mostly gets high percentage looks.
Yeah.
If he gets stuffed, he gets stuffed. That's fine. But Danger, I don't think was in the game at that point. I believe he was matched up on Coleman Hawkins at that point. I need to go back and watch the film to see who he was on, but I don't know. There was a lot in this game that you could pick apart, which I think is a good thing because, yeah, I mean, when you look back on it, it's going to be really frustrating because it's like any number of things. A dumb foul on Jabari Rice. An Illinois player actually making both free throws. Jaden Epps just went to another level. I think you mentioned it, but like he had a really nice drive with a reverse hand layup. I don't remember if that was an and one or not, but like that was insane. He had no angle on that. He did look like Nemhard on that. And
yeah, he had a couple clutch drives. One of them was an and one of them got to the line.
He's a player. You mentioned Sincere, and man, I don't know. He might be the worst free throw shooting guard I've ever seen, but he's a really good defender. The dude, he was what 16% from the line coming into this game. How in the hell you're shooting 38% from three and 17% from the line?
I think he was like one. I think he was like one thing. To be fair, if I have that right. I think he had like very limited sample size, but regardless, yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. It's maybe trends up from here. I can't imagine that a 6'4" guard that shoots the ball well from the field and from three is going to struggle from the line for that long. But anyway, yeah, okay. Let's talk about the front court a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned Timmy Allen a lot. He was great. It's a good sign moving forward. I thought Brock Cunningham was pretty good. It was a Brock Cunningham sort of night. Unfortunately, there was that turnover late where he kind of had a errant pass to Marcus Carr, wound up going out of bounds. Illinois gets the ball, another missed opportunity for Texas. I believe wasn't that one after, was that, I might be getting plays mixed up here. Was that offensive rebound that Cunningham kind of threw out of bounds? Is that right after Marcus Carr went to the line for 3 free throws?
Yes, it was because Texas was down 7 and Cunningham hit the 3.
I don't know if they were down
Nah,
7 at that point. Maybe they were.
they were
Oh, yeah. No,
they
they
were
were because it was 77-70. Yeah,
yeah, and then
Cunningham hit the 3. Carr hits 3 free throws. And then they have a chance to completely reverse momentum. That was the sort of night it was, though, where it's
yeah.
like,
It almost seemed like the ref got in the way a little bit, but it's like just hold the ball there, Cunningham. Like it is unfortunate because you can't really get mad at him, but
no.
there are a lot. There are a lot of times where he's playing so hard, and then he picks up a silly foul or he commits a turnover like that, where it's like we shouldn't even have been in that position. It was an
Yeah.
incredible rebound, but then he gives it away. So it's like, how mad can you really be? But yeah, like you said, one of those nights for sure.
Yeah, and like I thought there was this is one thing that has frustrated, and I think it's like more of a problem in the college game than it like with like coaches in the college game as a whole than it is like just Chris Beard or like any of the Texas players. But whenever you see like a lot of fouls being called and a lot of contact being drawn, especially a lot of fouls being called near the rim, like I don't tend to see Texas trying to get to the rim and draw contact anymore. Um, Watching back in the day with Marcus Smart, that's something that he used to do incredibly well. Obviously, it's Marcus Smart, but like I do remember that where like in Kansas, Bill Self tends to adjust to that like really well. When and any Big 12 fan can have their qualms with Kansas always seemingly getting the refs in their favor in basketball, but like I feel like if you're like Tyrese Hunter, you got to start trying to draw more contact. Maybe start getting to the line more if the offense is going dry, like it was in the first half.
I'd
Sorry, I'm
like to see the.
going back
I'd
to
like.
back board.
I'd like to actually. I have this. I was gonna say I'd like to see the shot chart, but I have it right in front of me. How many misses around the rim? Let me count. Inside the restricted area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 misses inside the restricted area, which is ridiculous. It seemed like there was so many misses, and yeah, it came true. Texas doesn't seem like they're great at finishing around the rim. Almost seems like they try to like placate to the contact, which never works because you don't get the call. Just like go hard, go straight up, and finish. Tyrese Hunter can slam the ball down. Mitchell can slam the ball. Like pretty much everyone besides maybe Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen doesn't get up too well, but I mean, still, like these guys just go up and try to dunk the ball, break the backboard, and either someone's gonna foul you or you're gonna dunk the ball. Um, it's just unfortunate. There's like way too many hesitations when they get the ball down there. A lot of pump fakes and not a lot of really super aggressive play that I like to see. But yeah, looking at the shot chart on the misses specifically, it's not pretty. There's so many misses right inside, right near the rim. But
Yeah, I
it's
counted 6 possessions in the first half where Texas ended up having a contested fadeaway 2 because they ended up getting the shot clock within 7 seconds. So, I mean, that's just you just have to get your play. You just have to get your play ran faster than that. That's
yeah,
you can't be holding the ball for that long. So
yeah.
I tweeted out in the first half like we needed in the first half they just straight up needed more off ball movement. And I mean, that's a fair yeah, I guess to like the point of like just trying to get anyone into the paint to try to draw contact. That's a fair counter that yeah, I did not know we had that many misses within the restricted area. Holy crap. Um
Yeah, it was bad.
but yeah, okay. I okay. This is a question I asked you off recording too. What do you think we do if Dylan Disu is injured?
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned that, and I went back and looked at it. He played 9 minutes tonight, 7 in the first half, 2 in the second half. Uh, if he is injured, then we need Allen to play like he did tonight, I guess is a simple answer. We're going to see a lot of Brock Cunningham if he is. But so with Dylan Disu healthy, it's a 9-man rotation. I don't think Enamekwe really gets much run because of that injury. I think it drops to an 8-man rotation. You're just playing a lot more 4 out, 1 in, a lot more with like Allen or Cunningham at the 5, which in some matchups, like when Danger was on the court tonight, that would hurt you. And then you can just throw Bishop and, match up that way. Any other lineup Illinois threw out there, you could match up without having Disu or Bishop on the court, which Chris Beard might almost even prefer that, especially with the way this offense can become anemic. Almost better having more guys out there that can handle it and, knock down the 3-ball. So if he is injured, which would be really unfortunate because obviously he didn't play well tonight, but he's had, a pretty strong start to the season, all things considered. So I think it would just be a cut the rotation down a man and a lot more. You'd see a lot more Cunningham, probably up to 24 minutes a game, and then a lot of 4 out, 1 in type basketball. But hopefully it was just, like a minor precaution that kept him off the floor along with some matchup issues. But yet to know about that.
Yeah. Sounds a lot like last season.
Yeah. I mean, this year at least we knew he came in fully healthy. And I mean, I didn't see anything. You mentioned that when we were talking offline, if he was injured, that probably is the only reason that he didn't play that much. There has to be something going on because I think you would want to get Disu more involved. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think hopefully you just chalk it up to, I don't know, one bad game, a slight nick, and he's back and ready for next week. But
For God knows we need a big man out of the portal. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so do you have any finishing thoughts on this game? Or any final thoughts on this game?
No, not specifically. I would just say, I mean, we've harped on it, but really unfortunate way to lose. It seems like, as people who cover Texas athletics, that it always seems when Texas loses in any sport, it's just in really unfortunate grand fashion. So at least we become sort of immune to that. It still stings, but this one will pay dividends come March. And obviously in college basketball, you play 35-game regular seasons. One loss against an Illinois team who's going to compete for a Big Ten title isn't going to kill you at all. But
yeah, they are, and I guess this loss hopefully isn't that bad when it's all said and done. And I don't think Texas is going to end up dropping in the polls a whole lot from this.
No. I don't think there's one true, like we had Baylor and Gonzaga both in 2021, who they seem just like a level above the rest. I don't think there's a team that really, I think there's going to be a lot of parity around the country. I mean, I was watching the Virginia game tonight. They almost lost to James Madison on their home floor. Houston, which has looked dominant, but they played Kent State to within 5. They have a big game against Alabama on Saturday. So I think Houston will probably hold that one spot for a while just because they play Alabama and Virginia coming up. But when they go into the AAC play, they're going to be winning a lot. But I don't think there's one team that truly scares me or that doesn't scare me, but not a team that Texas can't match up with is what I should say.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, I mentioned in our preseason preview show for the season that UNC was obviously looking great, and now they're not. They kind of suck lately. But yeah, I guess. Losing chain here for a little bit. So we're going to kind of look forward here. So what do we got next? We got Arkansas Pine Bluff on December 10th, Stanford on the 18th. That's the last kind of major non-conference game before Big 12 play begins. And then from there until a matchup against TCU on what is that, January 11th? And even that's at home. I don't see anything super scary on the schedule. Shane, I was mentioning kind of us looking ahead here, and what do we got in the next 8 games? You got road trips to face the Oklahoma schools, but Lord knows, again, Oklahoma State grad here. Oklahoma State's not very good. OU's not bad. They're a decent team. SRS rating top 50. Ken Palm, I believe, top 70. So could be a formidable foe on the road. They're the conference opener. I guess in the next 8 games, I mean, clearly a stretch that Texas could go undefeated. What do you hope to see out of this team before we face maybe even potentially the next top 25 opponent in TCU on January 11th?
Yeah, I think like you said, to clear out the non-conference, all should be wins. Stanford is a Power 5 team, but probably not going to be a tournament team this year. Really don't have any good wins. So I think you should win the rest of your non-conference games. And we've been harping on it, but it's got to be on the offensive end. How this team initiates offense, avoiding those periods of stagnation. Don't even know if that's a word, but you get my drift. Like, we don't want to see Marcus Carr forcing up a shot with a fadeaway with 2 seconds left on the clock. Start getting in your sets early. I know Chris Beard wants to run, maybe run a little bit more. That seemed to stop in the second half against Illinois. But yeah, I think everything that we want to see is going to be on the offensive end, and don't look for those Like, it's fun when Tyrese Hunter is pulling up, hitting threes like he was against Gonzaga, and you're shooting at a ridiculous clip. But don't really take a lot of solace if you're a Texas fan in those kind of aberrations, because that's not what's going to win you games deep into February and come March NCAA tournament play. It's going to be kind of more down to the mean. Can you finish around the rim? Can you get to the foul line? Can you get a good shot every time down the floor? Avoid turnovers and stuff like that. So I think there probably will be some great shooting performances mixed in, just because Carr can get really hot, Hunter can get really hot. Jabari Rice can knock down the three, and Terrio's still waiting for him to heat up. But in our against Arkansas in the scrimmage, he was 4 for 6 from deep. But I would say, yeah, I'm going to be really keyed in on the offensive end. And I don't know about you, but I love the way this team defends. I think it is worth watching in close games. Kind of, you mentioned this earlier, the final 5 or so minutes, how that communication, if it stays at a high level, because I mean, for maybe a 25-minute game clock period, from the maybe 20-minute game clock period from the end of the first half to the beginning first 10 minutes of the second half, Illinois could not do anything on offense. So I'm not super worried about this team defensively. Everything is kind of offensively for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot to watch on the offensive end, and I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head talking about the kind of quality of shots that we're trying to attempt. And while we don't have a bunch of good outside shooters, I mean, when we have knocked down shots, it's because Hunter and Carr and whoever's taking the 3-point attempt, we're getting the ball moved around the perimeter well, and finding open guys. I mentioned in a piece I did earlier this week that Tyrese Hunter is shooting north of 38% on catch and shoot attempts from beyond the arc, and so that's rock solid. And we didn't see a whole lot of that sort of movement tonight. I mean, Illinois was switching; they were playing really well on ball. So, but yeah, I mean, as much as I obviously like to see Texas go undefeated through this stretch, get a couple, avoid maybe some trap games against Oklahoma State and OU to open up conference play before you face TCU and Tech. But overall, I don't see this. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, this isn't going to be a super exciting stretch coming up, but yeah. I mean, hopefully Texas gets back to their roots and, Carr gets going. I'd like to see the front court stay healthy and productive. I'm a guy that likes at the college game to see once in a while some good inside-out basketball. And if Dessou is healthy, then I'd like to see Texas getting the ball moving around nice again and see Allen stay hot. That'd be my thing.
Yeah, I would say 2 more just player notes. Christian Bishop and Dylan Dessou, just I don't want to see them dribbling the basketball anymore. And nothing good comes from that. Every once in a while, Bishop can like fake a handoff and then dribble himself into the post and get like a little lefty hook. But for the most part, it's just like a turnover waiting to happen. And then Arterio Morris, like he can often play out of control, but man, that dude is just flying around every second he's out on the court, whether it's on the offensive glass. We saw him multiple times. He seems like might be the best leaper on the team, which is saying something when you have Mitchell there. But he's super active on the defensive end. He's actually really smart. Kind of knows where he needs to be, and it seems really locked in on that end of the floor. So it is kind of a place where he's a 5-star, but he could kind of get lost in the shuffle with the fact that Carr, Hunter, and Jabari Rice are kind of ahead of him on the guard depth chart. But I've liked what I've seen when it comes to hustle from Morris. People are going to get on him. Like can be a bit annoying because he does play a little out of control. He wants it's weird saying this because obviously everyone wants the best for the team, but like he's just always trying to make a play. He's not out there like being selfish or anything. He's just really trying to make a play, and I love his energy. So those are just my final 2 notes on players going forward.
Yeah, he has been fun to watch. And he was he was still pretty efficient off the bench. I think it was like 9 points, 50% shooting from the field. So
yeah, he knocked. I think he was 4 for 4 from the line tonight. So yeah, you're right. 9 points, 2 of 4, 4 for 4 from the line. So yeah, that's all you can ask for. And he is going. There are going to be games. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the scrimmage against Arkansas because they didn't televise it for whatever reason. But did get to listen to Craig Way call it, and Morris was on fire from 3. So while he has had some pretty bad bricks, I think there's going to be a game or two, certainly, where he catches fire and knocks down 3 or 4 trays in a short spurt.
he's fun, and you mentioned that like him and he can play a little out of control sometimes, and I think like for Beard that makes the rotations a little bit more difficult because you probably have to limit the amount of time that the 3-man combination of Mitchell or any 2-man combination here of Mitchell, Cunningham, and Morris are on the floor together, because you can end up creating some untimely turnovers from those combinations. But like I would like to see Morris get a little bit more involved. He's consistently grown, even in early spurts this season. So, but yeah, no, those are interesting takes for sure. And I mean, it's good to have the young depth, but I think that's about all I got for this. I said we're going to go 25, 30 minutes. So we're at 30, 38. So we're trending about where we usually do.
Yeah, a little over. Always a little over when we get talking Texas hoops.
Yeah, there was that one video we did where I said we were going to keep it at 25 or 30, and we went about an hour 15. So this is better.
I will say, last note before we close it out. I'm a newly subscribed member to KenPom, so I'm just getting lost in all the numbers. A lot of fun. Only like $22 for a year. I would recommend, whether you're writing about college hoops or you're gambling on it or you just love the sport. There's a ton of great information here. Texas is projected to win by KenPom every Big 12 game and every game on their schedule besides the game in Knoxville for the rest of the season.
Wow. Even against Baylor in Waco? Wow.
Yeah, so 75% chance to win against Baylor at home, 53% chance on the road, and 50% chance at Fog Allen. Yeah, so obviously these are individual games. KenPom still has the projected record of the Longhorns, 24-7, which makes more sense because he favors them in every game but one doesn't mean they're gonna win all that. But yeah, it's just something to note. And honestly, it may be, looking back on it when conference play rolls around, it may be nice that this loss happened, because I think the undefeated teams are really going to start to dwindle here. Maryland's about to lose. Like I said, Virginia had a scare. I bet Houston loses in the next week. So I don't know if this would be great for a Texas team to have that target on their back like that. I almost feel like they might be better playing from a range like, ranked like in the back half of the top 10. But it's all kind of semantics and mental preparation at that point. But that's kind of just my 2 cents.
As long as Texas ends up as a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, it's still lofty to say. Like if the season ended or if the regular season ended today, yeah, of course they'd be a 1 seed. But yeah, as long as they get there, I'm good with it. That is interesting though. By the way, we are not official sponsors of Ken Palm, but that'd be great.
Exactly. Yes, I would. Yes, correct. Ken Palm. You're looking for 2 guys who love college hoops and support your website.
That is true.
We're here.
Yeah, I do like it. It is nice to have. From the team metrics perspective, for sure. I still wish in college basketball that there were better player tracking and analytics, but not everything is tracked like the MLB and the NBA. So, but anyway, I think that's about all I got. Shane, you got anything else for?
Yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Okay. Well, for Shane Black and Andrew Miller at hook'emheadlines.com, hopefully we are back with a more positive basketball show the next time we join y'all. But yeah, anyway, that is pretty much it. Okay.